Welcome into episode 129 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise. I'm your host, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakey Muffins, here for the Instigators podcast this week. Uh, Apologize in advance. It's probably going to be a little bit short and a little bit kind of thrown together. I literally just got home like 5 minutes ago. So didn't have quite the time that I had anticipated to put everything together, but it is what it is, and we will do what we've got for this week. So episode 129, um, and we are gonna cover kind of some things that we've already hit on before, because that's what I have at my disposal, and then we'll kind of tease some of the stuff that we've got coming up that we're working on getting some finalized details too. And hopefully next week we'll be able to share and kind of finalize some of that. So the big news for this weekend, obviously we've talked about it the past few times. If you follow us on social media, you've seen it just about every day now. Tryouts. We have tryouts this weekend. It's the very first tryouts of 2026-2027 season, our fourth ABA season. And we are looking, as always, we want to have the best roster possible. And to do that, we have to have tryouts. So our very first tryouts for this offseason are on Sunday, the 12th at 1 p.m. And again, that's at Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana. Our home venue that we have had for the past two seasons. We are going to be back there again this year. So no better opportunity than to prove what you have to be on the roster than at the home venue. You get to experience it firsthand, show off what you got, meet some of the players and coaches. Again, we don't have an official roster yet. Coaching wise, we are expecting the same coaching staff to return. So that is, if you're familiar with our coaches last year, probably know. And then players, we always have some returning players. So it's just a matter of what we have as far as at our disposal with the new player crop. And that's always how it's going to be, each and every year. We want to have the best team possible. And to improve every year, you have to have the bigger player pool. The bigger player pool you get, the more selective you can be. So that is just how it works. That's the nature of professional sports. So that is, again, that's this Sunday, the 12th at 1 p.m. Let's see if we can pull up that graphic. All right, we got that up there. And again, we're always shout out to Minotaur Media. We're over on their website showing this, and we'll hit on some of the other things around the ABA over there as well. But tryouts, you can scan that QR code. That's on all of our social media that you see: Facebook, Instagram, wherever you find us. You have this QR code. You can scan that and sign up for the tryouts doing that. And if you do that ahead of time, you scan the QR code rather than showing to the door and paying, you're going to save yourself $20. So if you're thinking about doing this, I highly advise that you go ahead and scan the QR code and sign up ahead of time, and you'll save yourself, a $20 bill. So might as well just do that and get that over with ahead of time. Then you don't got to worry about anything. You just pull it up, show them at the door, get yourself right in. Don't have to worry about any of the pulling out the card, the cash, whatever it is. When you get to the door, you can just focus on ball. That's it. So again, that's my recommendation. Anybody else with the team is going to recommend that you do that as well. It saves yourself some money, allows you to just focus on that, get in there. Again, that's July 12th, this Sunday at 1 p.m. It's at Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana. That's our home venue. And this is our very first tryouts for this season. So again, this is your best chance, your very first chance to introduce yourself and prove what you got to our coaching staff, as well as the ownership staff, the fans, and obviously fellow players. So no better chance than the very first tryout this year. There's also a couple of other tryouts going on this weekend. So tonight, I think actually maybe right now, we've got one going on for the Naptown Pirates. Their tryouts are happening live right now, July 10th, 8 to 10. That is in Indianapolis. And they are a new team to the Blue Division in the Central region. So they will be within our same division, I believe, for this year. However, it does look like they've got some familiar people with their coach being the former Lions coach. The Legends, they've got their tryouts tomorrow in Newcastle. That's tomorrow at 5. So you got that tomorrow, and then you obviously got ours um, on Sunday. So all three back to back to back. And they always say save the best for last. So we're on Sunday. But so you got our tryouts, you got the Legends tryouts and the Pirates tryouts all happening this weekend. So big week as far as roster building, player prospecting, and obviously tryouts here in the Indianapolis region, central Indiana. And that's what we've got as far as the big news for this week, the big things to keep an eye out for. Obviously, this is the very first step to getting our roster built. And once we have these tryouts, then we're gonna talk it over, see what we've got as far as the players at our hands, and then we're gonna probably have some of these players signing announcements here in the not too future, following these first tryouts. Typically, that's how we do it, and then we typically have 2 or 3 tryouts. So this is your best chance because again, we don't have the roster set at all yet. So there's the most roster spots open. After this, then we're going to start making some of these announcements, some of the players that are signed to the team. And then obviously, the more players that get signed, the less roster spots that are open. So again, if you're thinking about joining the team, if you want to be in the ABA this season, I would highly recommend you sign up now for the tryouts on Sunday and then go there and ball out. Obviously, that's the easiest way you're going to be on the roster for this year. But that is how we get all of our guys. That's how we get all of our players is through these tryouts. So that's where you're gonna have your shot, your one chance, one opportunity to be on the Instigator squad for this season. Well, it's not one chance, but you might have another chance, but this is one of the chances. So that is the big thing that we've got for this weekend. We are working on trying to finalize some details as far as other stuff we've got working on this month. Towards the end of this month, we do have, I think we're a couple of weeks out at this point. Yeah, a couple of weeks out would be the IRP race we were involved with last year. We had the booth there. We're working to try to get some things squared away with that, and hopefully we'll have the booth again this year. We're also trying to work and get some more involvement with that. So we still got to work out the details on the booth itself. But I think once we make that announcement with it, we're actually going to be bigger and better than last year for that booth. And I think you guys are going to be really happy with it. And it might have something to do with our celebrity player. That is all I will say at this point until we get everything finalized, just because, obviously there's still some moving pieces with everything. But, hopefully we've got that announcement here out next week. And then we can really push that out, push that out, some player signings, and then focus on, if we've got that event going on for IRP, we can focus on that and then go into August, again, head down into the preseason mode is what I would call it, working on that roster management and getting everything squared away for ramping up into our fourth regular season. Um, but that is something I'm still working on. We're trying to get that all finalized, and once we do, we're definitely going to make announcements for that. But we're aiming, hopefully, to have all that squared away by next week. So hopefully, by the time of the podcast next week, we can make those announcements and share those with you guys. And if they're done even sooner than that, we're going to be posting it on social media for you guys to see as well. Um, but just keep an eye out for that. And then obviously, following the tryouts, keep an eye out. We might have some player signings coming up here soon. And just keep a watch on that social media for that. And then you'll be able to keep up with us as best as possible as far as the news that we've got going on. And then every Friday, we'll catch you up on everything. But that's kind of what we've got in the works right now as far as the instigators specific side of things. So again, this month tryouts are on Sunday. That's what we've got planned as far as basketball activity. And then we've got the event we're trying to get scheduled out for the 24th. And then again, some moving pieces with that, but that should be something real big, real fun, and interactive as well. I should add that interactive with the fans. So that's again, that's one of our key things that we love to do is having the fan involvement, fan interaction, and that's really what we're working on is trying to make sure that we can provide the very best experience. So that is what some of these moving pieces are behind the scenes going on with that. But I would say more likely than not, we're going to be back there on the 24th and doing an event or having a booth at the event. So I would plan on that. But again, we're waiting to make everything official before we fully publish that and announce it. So there's your insider scoop. I always love to give you guys that for those who join us here on the podcast. Keep you guys kind of in the loop and ahead of the game sometimes before we make those official announcements and you guys see what we're working on behind closed doors. But we kind of open these doors for you guys too. So that's what we've got going on. I did want to just pull as far as the ABA site. We've went over there a bunch since they've revamped the site. And again, that was thanks to Minotaur as well behind that site update. So they always do great work with everything, and it's a lot more streamlined. Everything's kind of straightforward on there. They've got some additional breakdowns with the divisions and all of that going on. Um, we'll point out, I guess that's probably a good thing to point out is the divisions. We just hit on the tryouts coming up. So we're gonna jump over here. Yep. Okay. And you can see the divisions. We're just going to focus mainly on this central region. Obviously, that's our region. So we got the central region and then the divisions within that. So the red division, that had been the division that we were a part of for a couple of seasons, I believe, or sort of, and then we got moved into a different one, but we were sort of in the red division at one point or the other. So we've seen some of these teams before. Clarksville Phoenix, we saw them our first season. They were the ones that knocked us out of the playoff tournament. So we know Clarksville. Knoxville Commerce team that joined last year. So coming back again this year, this will be the second season. Louisville Pros, a team that we faced off against a bunch of times. Very familiar with their squad, a very physical team. I think one of the better defensive-minded teams, I would say, and it's always kind of a lower scoring game when we play them. The Middletown Maulers, it's a new team, sort of. I believe, from what I've heard, it might be a rebrand as well, or kind of something similar, a spin-off of maybe the Kings, from what I've heard. So it's a new team technically with the rebrand, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have some of the same core as far as that team goes. And then the Nashville Aces, the representative of the Central Region last season, the went undefeated in the regular season. Their only loss came in the playoffs in the Final Four game against the Buffalo Extreme, I do believe. White division, don't think we've ever been in that one actually, but we have played a few of these teams. 402 Elite, we have not played against, but we've seen them year to year. It looks like they're typically the representative from that white division. The Missouri Capitals we've faced off against, as well as the St. Louis Spirit. So both of those teams we have seen before. River City Gamblers have been around for a bit. And then I believe the North Tulsa Natives are a new squad, if I'm not mistaken. So one new squad in there. And then I will just point out we got 5 teams in the red, 5 teams in the white. And then we've got our blue division. And blue division's where we are this season. So obviously got us. And this was the division we got moved into last year. So a lot of these teams are going to be similar to that division we were in last year. A couple of new teams. So when we got moved into the blue division, the teams that were standing from the blue division were more so on the eastern side of things. So they had the Steel City Yellow Jackets out in Pittsburgh, who won the division last season, as well as the Akron Aviators. They are both back in the division this year. Then we had the Indiana teams that got moved over. So obviously us, the Indiana Legends, the Indiana Lions, and the Indiana Shuckers. All 3 of those Indiana teams all got moved over to the blue division as well. And then we have 2 new teams added this season. The Naptown Pirates, again, I believe that's going to be in Indianapolis, and the Port Huron Wolves up in Michigan. So now we've got 8 teams in that division comparatively to the other ones. We also have the Black Division with the Chicago Fury, who were back-to-back champions, had a little bit of a down, I say down season, even though they were still a very good team. Second to last team in the region standing. But for them, their expectations obviously were to win the championship from the last 2 seasons. They will obviously were not able to do that this year, but they're looking to do that this upcoming season. So they're going to be out for a vengeance. We got them. The Chicago Knights, these are going to be all your Chicago teams essentially. So Chicago Fury, Chicago Knights, the Rebels as well, and Southland Saints, who we faced off against our first year. I don't think we've played them since. The Fury we faced off a couple of times. The Windy City Inferno we've played a couple of times. When they're on our, we played them a couple of times last year, I believe. Or maybe I'm mistaken and we played them a couple of times this year. But either way, I know that they're a familiar team. And then the Windy City Native Hawks, who I do believe are a new team for this season. So we got 6 teams in that division. If you look across the region, we've got 5, 5, 8, and 6. So if you guys know the ABA and how that works, we would not be surprised if at some point these divisions get realigned again. Just because that is typically what happens if a team folds. Then it kind of gives some more leeway and flexibility within these divisions, and they try to balance them out as best as they can. So we will see how that goes, but that is the starting point as far as the divisions for the ABA in this 2026-2027 season. Again, we're in that blue division again this year as of right now to start. Um, and then I did jump over as far as on the scheduling page, as far as what the ABA has out. And we're just going to focus on what they have as far as our leaks go. So again, these are going to be unconfirmed, but they are what the league has out for us as far as the games we may possibly be playing. So let's take a look over there. And you can see up here, there's a whole bunch of stuff they've got out. So there's not a ton of games out because, again, we have not officially put out our schedule. But these are some of the teams we play against who have put out their schedules. So we would anticipate these are probably correct. So looks like in October, we've got a couple of games on Saturday, the 17th. Looks like we have our first home game scheduled as of right now against the Nashville Aces. And obviously that's going to be a big matchup there. The Aces were extremely dominant last season. Again, only one loss, and that was in the Final Four. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out again as a very, very solid team going into this season. And then the following week on Sunday, we've got a game against the Naptown Pirates. And I actually got two games against them. It looks like kind of in a back to back there, or with a 1 week in between because I believe there's Halloween in between. But the October 25th game and it looks like November 8th game are both against the Naptown Pirates. And both of those look like they are home games for us. So it looks like we've got a few home games that might be out there that have been leaked. And then we've got the game in December against the Nashville Aces on the road over in Nashville. So that's going to be a big matchup there as well. And then we've got the game, it looks like scheduled for January 9th, a home game for us against the Middletown Maulers. So technically three new games that we haven't had before. Well, I guess technically two. But anyways, they got that, and then we've got the home and away series out against the Nashville Aces. That'll be a big matchup there. So that's what we got as far as what's technically out there, as far as on the ABA site that has been, you can say, leaked. So that at least got the Aces, the Pirates, and the Maulers on the schedule. I'm sure you can imagine we're going to play some more familiar teams that we've played against, and maybe some of the new teams as well to round out our opponents within a division as well. So that is what's out so far. Once we have everything finalized, we'll always post that, and once we have everything finalized, that'll be shared on socials, and obviously the ticket links will be shared at that point too. So you guys will be able to see all that, get your season tickets at that point, and then by then you'll have an idea of some of the rosters, some of the players we got, and some of the things we've got working with the season 4 coming up. So that is really kind of the news we've got for this week with the instigators. We're gonna share this one again for the tryouts. Again, tryouts are Sunday. That's our big news. Is tryouts are on Sunday. Don't miss it. You miss this, then you gotta wait, see if there's another tryout. If you're even thinking about it, or you're like, I'll wait till the next one. Go ahead and do it this time, because even if you don't feel you're at the top shape right now, you get your resume built. So you get your foot in the door, you get the interactions, you make some connections, and then if you go to that second trial, oh hey, we remember this dude from the first time. Maybe he had an off day. Let's see how he does this time. If you ball out that second time and they remember you from the first time, I mean, hey, that's going to be much better than if you just show up, you don't have those connections, you build that. So again, if you're even thinking about it, don't wait until later on the season, later in the off season. Go ahead and do it this time. It's your best chance, your best opportunity, because there's nobody technically on that roster yet. It's an open roster. Nobody's signed yet. So that is going to be your best chance to do that. Get your foot in the door, introduce yourself, and then obviously, if you can ball out, and you'll get an offer. But that is, that's my recommendation. And then obviously, if you're planning on doing it, go ahead and sign up ahead of time. Save yourself a little bit of cash, and then obviously you don't have to worry about doing it at the door. Then you just focus on hooping when you get there. So that's what we've got. For the news right now. Again, we're working on some stuff. Hopefully next week we've got that all squared away to make some announcements and finalizations on that end. And then following the tryouts, we're going to be in the near future making some offers. Once we get the offers accepted, we will be posting on our social media any and all player signing announcements. So I would imagine that by next week we should have maybe one out, if not I would say the following week, by the end of this month, we will have some other player announced or player signing announcements out for you guys at that point too. And then again, we're working on the event on the 24th. I really think we're going to get that squared away. And we really want to have that as an interactive fan experience. We want to make that the best experience for you guys as possible. Obviously, once we have everything finalized, then we're going to make that announcement, share all the details so you guys can make those plans to be there on the 24th with us as well. So that is, again, we're working on it. Hopefully by next week, by the time of the show, we have that finalized so we can share it with you guys, give you guys at least a week's out for planning. We try not to throw everything last minute, especially when it's something like this where we want to have the fans out and interacting with us. Um, a little news as well. The diecast cars, I believe, our anticipated release date, ship date, whatever they call it, is towards the end of this month. So keep an eye out for any news on that too. If we have any news on that, we'll share that around, spread the word. And then obviously, once we get them in, we're going to be showing them off. Obviously, we want everybody to see those. So once we get those in, we're gonna share those, and you guys will be able to see them. I believe, as far as I would be aware, we're gonna be the only ABA team, the only franchise with officially our own officially licensed Lionel Racing diecast. Obviously it's not only us, but there's other people on there. But the diecast will feature our logo on it, and our celebrity player Brayton Laster is. He's got them on his site. You can get them signed over there from him directly. So when they do ship out, he will sign them, and you'll get them that way as well. Um, but keep an eye out for that info as well. We got working on. Um, but that's what we got planned out for this month. Once we have some more stuff finalized and everything squared away, we'll be making those official announcements to keep you guys in the loop with everything. Um, but really, that's what we got for tonight. Again, I apologize; it's kind of thrown together very last minute. So next week, hopefully, we got some more stuff squared away. We can go into more detail on some of that as well and kind of flesh those out. But that's what we've got this weekend. Don't forget Sunday. It's just a couple of days away. At 1 p.m. It's July 12th at Best Choice Fieldhouse are your very first tryouts of this off season for us, 2026-2027 season. Very best chance to be on the roster. Go there and show out, earn a roster spot. As we say, we'll say it at the sign off, but that applies there too. So, you think you got what it takes, come on out, and we will see you there. But that's really our big thing for it right now. This weekend is tryouts. Focus on that, get those taken care of. Again, once we do that, we're going to review it with our coaching staff, and then once we have some, idea of which directions we want to go, then we're going to be making those offers, and then our first round of signings. And then once we have that, you'll be seeing all of our player signing announcements coming out in the near future. So we're in the off season, but I say we're jumping into that preseason now, and then we're really ramping up going into the next couple of months. By the time October runs around, then we're in the regular season again. But that's really it for tonight's episode. It's been episode 129 of Instigate Success, your official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators. As always, this is what I'm saying applies at the trout. Until next time, be great and instigate.